Coca-Cola was founded in 1886 and is a manufacturer, marketer, and distributor of non-alcoholic beverages, concentrates, and syrups. The company also produces, markets, and distributes juices and juice drinks, as well as water products. Its corporate headquarters are in Atlanta, USA, and the company has local operations in over 200 countries around the world. Revenues in 2004 total $22 billion of United States. With more and more economic progress taking place around the world, the demand for water is increasing like never before in the history of humankind. As a result, cases of conflict over rights on water are also rising. Water is essential for the survival of any living organism on this planet. Across time and space, human civilization flourished around the sources of water. Without having access to sufficient quantity of clean drinking water, a dignified human existence is impossible. It has a multifaceted role in which it helps us to enjoy a healthy, fulfilling life where the creative capabilities of a person are not artificially restricted. Even though India accounts for 18% of the world's population, it possesses only 4% of the planet's fresh water. India has a chronic water problem, one of the worst in the world, and fights over the resource have erupted between states and water uses periodically for decades. The reason for this problem is the failure of monsoon rains to produce sufficient amounts of water. In the southern states, farmers, manufacturers, and municipal water supplies to rely more on wells to meet their needs. Those wells are drying up too, and that's hurting farmers, India's economic mainstay. And Coca-Cola has a major role to play. Coca-Cola was the leading soft drink in India until 1977, when it withdrew from the country due to disagreements with Indian government. But later, in 1993, the ban was lifted in pursuance of India's liberalization policy, and Coca-Cola made a comeback. In the year 2000, Coca-Cola was started their bottling operations. However, within the year after the beginning of the production, the community in Caldera started to realize that there was a rapid decline in the levels of groundwater, making the availability of the water scarce. Plant use 900,000 liters of water, a third of which is used for the creation of drinks, and the rest used on the cleaning of bottles and machinery. People of Caldera couldn't access sufficient amount of water anymore, due to the depletion in the levels of water among wells. For a community that depends on agriculture, it's extremely important to have access to adequate levels of groundwater. Depletion in water levels was the most obvious and harsh impacts of bottling plant campaign that led people of Caldera to lose their source of income, considering the fact that their livelihoods are dependent on agricultural activities, which intrinsically depends on adequate supply of water. In addition to that, women of the community had also faced difficulty as to walk for additional 5 to 6 kilometers only for fetching water for daily basic use, which imposes extra burden on them, making them sick more frequently. The issue was not only limited to incomes, but also by the number of children who left school, which impacted on their education. and help their mother and household. All this resulted in a deterioration of health, increased poverty, and decline in literacy rate. After facing so many problems, the people in Caldera challenged the Coca-Cola company for worsening water conditions, to which they had received significant international support. The community demanded the closure of this bottling plant campaign that was put into place by Coca-Cola company. However, the company denied their involvement in any kind of misconduct while putting blame on local competitors for trying to undermine their business actions in India. Later it was confirmed that bottling plant in Caldera by Coca-Cola company operated in the overexploited area of groundwater, due to which significant impacts were obvious on the entire community. After the assessment reports conducted by independent entities and organizations, the evidence of misconduct became clear. It also found that one of the major contributors for worsening water situation and a source of stress for nearby communities is the operation of bottling plants. Overall, it took 7 months for the Coca-Cola to respond. Coca-Cola have declined to comment on the allegations of water exploitation and contamination. In addition, there were no visible and adequate actions from Coca-Cola to make the situation better. Contrarily, the company showed further immoral behavior to counter the issue. As a result, boycotts and protests have sparked across the country. Later, in 2003, there was a court case of Pyramidhi Grama Panchayat versus State of Kerala, where the court ordered the Coca-Cola beverage to completely stop drawing the groundwaters in that area within a month period. The court has stated that the underground water belongs to the public. The state and its instrumentalities should act as trustees of this great wealth. The state has got a duty to protect groundwater against excessive exploitation, and the inaction of the state in this regard will tantamount to infringement of the right to life of the people, guaranteed under Article 21st of the Constitution of India. In February 2011, the state legislature of Kerala state passed legislation that allows the company to be sued up to $48 million for the damages that they have caused. Production has been stopped by the Coca-Cola company at the disputed bottling plant in Caldera, along with the information that the company has no further plans for resuming the operations. Due to past behavior, Coca-Cola still faces crisis in India. After the forced closure of bottling plant in Kerala state, they were forced to close their plant in Varanasi, cancellation of its plant in Uttarakhand, and forced to withdraw from the land allotted for a new bottling plant by the management in Tamil Nadu, under the consideration of significant protest. At this moment presently, the company is also subjected to investigations in terms of identifying and validating the second largest plant of the company in India, to be unlawfully discharging raw effluents.